The question which we have been addressing is to find out the wave function for a particle moving in one dimension in some arbitrary potential well, and we saw that in the WKB approximation, in the region where the energy is greater than the potential, the wave function can be approximated by this form, 1 by square root of kx into exponential plus minus this integral kx dx with an I over here. Okay. So it is an oscillating function, just that the wavelength or the wave number keeps on changing as we go along different parts of the potential. The wave number k keeps on changing and the phase behaves in a slightly different way than if the potential were a constant. In the region where the energy is less than the value of the potential, you have an exponentially decaying or growing wave function, which is very similar to this, just that we have to use this rho, the function rho over here instead of k, where rho is 2m v minus e by h cross squared. So these are very similar to the situation where the potential was a constant, except that now this k is varying with x. So we found that these approximate wave functions hold provided the potential does not vary too fast, and provided we are far not very close to these classical turning points. Near the classical turning points, the wavelength k becomes infinity, tends to infinity, or the wave number tends to 0 because the energy and the potential become equal, and the momentum changes very rapidly compared to the wavelength. So this approximation cannot be applied at the classical turning points. This wave function cannot be applied at the classical turning points. So in a situation like this, we have this kind of a wave function in the middle, and we have this kind of a wave function on the two sides. So the first kind of oscillating wave function is in the middle, and the exponentially decaying or growing wave function is there on the two sides. And we cannot make further progress unless we can somehow match these wave functions, which we know to hold in these regions. Unless we can match these wave functions at the classical turning point, there is not much else you can do. So the question now is how to match these wave functions at the classical turning point, at these 2 points, somewhere in the neighborhood of these 2 points, where the WKB approximation is not valid. So that is the next thing that we are going to look at. So in order to make progress in that direction, it is convenient to change the variables. So instead of the wave function psi, we introduce this function v, which is also a function of x, and which is defined to be square root of kx into psi x. So it is just an exponential in the region where the WKB approximation holds. We also introduce the variable y instead of the variable x. So this is actually this integral from some arbitrary point to x, and we use the variable y instead of the variable x, because this also tells us the distance from some arbitrarily chosen origin of the integral. Okay. So these are the two new variables, and we are going to write down the Schrodinger equation in terms of these two variables. So we have to first calculate the derivative of psi. So the first derivative of psi, d psi dx, can be easily calculated. It is just equal to dy dx into d by dy of psi. And psi we know is v, which is now a function of y, divided by k, square root of k, which comes from here. And doing the differentiation, so dy by dx, if I differentiate this with respect to x, I just get k. So I have a k over here, which is dy by dx. And then if I differentiate this function inside, then I have v prime, where prime now denotes derivative with respect to y. So I have v prime by square root of k. that is if I differentiate the numerator, and if I differentiate the denominator, I have minus half k to the power 3 by 2 in the denominator, and I have k prime into v on top. So this is the first derivative, which if I multiply the k with these two things, then I get v into square root of k minus half k prime by square root of k into v. V prime here, that's right, thank you. So there should be a v prime here, it's not just v. Okay. Now I want to calculate the second derivative of this function psi. So this again is dy by dx into d by dy of whatever we had in the previous first derivative. And dy by dx is k, and let us now differentiate this thing with respect to y. So I get v double prime square root of k, which is the first term over here. Now if I differentiate the second term over here, I will get v prime into half k prime by square root of k, which is the same as what I get if I differentiate v over here, but the signs are different. So those two terms exactly cancel out, and the only remaining terms are if I differentiate k prime and if I differentiate 1 by square root of k. So if I differentiate k prime, I get minus half k double prime by square root of k, and if I differentiate 1 by square root of k, then I get another factor of minus half, which gives me 1 by 4 over here, and I have k prime squared divided by k to the power of 3 by 2. So if I multiply throughout by this k, or rather if I pull out a factor of square root of k from the whole thing, then I get k to the power 3 by 2 v double prime minus v by 2, the square root of k has gone out from here. So what I have is k double prime by k. So we have to divide this whole thing by square root of k, which gives me a k over here, and I have 1/4 v k prime square by k squared. I have just taken out a factor of square root of k. So this is the double derivative of psi with respect to x, which I have written in terms of v and y, the two new variables. So let me now put this into the Schrodinger equation. So the Schrodinger equation written in terms of k was d square psi by dx square is equal to minus k square psi, where k I have already defined in terms of the energy and the potential. So if I substitute the second derivative of psi into this, and if I substitute v for psi, then I have k to the power 3/3 and this expression over here, which we just worked out. This is equal to minus k square into v by square root of k. This is just nothing but psi into k squared. So this, in this whole expression, k to the power 3 by 2 is common on both the left hand side and the right hand side. So I can get rid of this k to the power 3 by 2, and the final equation which I am left with is v double prime plus 1 by 4 k prime square by k square minus half k double prime by k plus 1 v equal to 0. So this is the final equation which we obtain. This is nothing but the Schrodinger equation. It has been obtained by just making these two substitutions. V, we are using v instead of psi, where v is square root of k into psi, and we are using y, which is the integral k x prime dx prime from some arbitrary constant origin to x. So with this substitution, the Schrodinger equation gives us this. So what is the advantage of this equation over the original Schrodinger equation? Well, the advantage is quite apparent right now. The WKB approximation, which we have worked out in the last class, So this is the Schrodinger equation written in general. There has been no approximation made as yet. The WKB approximation corresponds to a situation where K double prime and K prime are both set to 0. They are both set to 0. So the equation which we have, which is the WKB approximation, is V double prime plus V is equal to 0. So the WKB approximation is valid when both these terms can be neglected. And the solution of this equation in the WKB approximation is very simple. It is just e to the power plus minus Iy, which is nothing but the familiar solution which I just showed you, which we worked out yesterday. So the wave function then turns out to be this and this. So that is the wave function there was this one. Okay. And so let me write down the wave functions in this notation. So in the region to the left, in this region over here, the wave function is Vy is equal to sum a1 e to the power I y plus b1 e to the power minus iy, and this is in the this is for x less than a. So we have a situation where there is a potential which looks like this. A is the classical turning point and the particle has energy E. To the left of A, for x less than a, sufficiently far from the classical turning point, the WKB approximation holds, and the solution in that region is this, some linear combination of e to the power iy and e to the power minus iy. Right. For x greater than a, the energy is less than the potential, and Vy is equal to a e to the power mod y a2 plus b2 e to the power minus mod y. So in this new variables, the two solutions on the two sides of the classical turning point are these, and the problem which we have now is to find a solution to this equation. So we know the solution in the regions far away from the classical turning point. We have to now find a solution which is also valid at the classical turning point and its neighborhood. So the question arises now, how do we do that? Which is the question we anyway started out to answer. Okay, so we go about doing this by making an approximation. We approximate the potential in this region near the turning point by a straight line. So we make the approximation that the potential at this point and the neighborhood of this point can be reasonably approximated by a straight line. So Vx minus E is taken to be approximately alpha into x minus a. Which effectively means that we are approximating the potential at near this in this neighborhood by a straight line. And for x less than a, for x less than a, the potential is also less than the energy. So alpha with alpha greater than 0, alpha is positive, because for x less than a, the potential is less than the energy. So we make an approximation to the potential near this point, in the neighborhood of this point, a classical turning point, and the assumption is that the potential can be approximated by a straight line, a linear potential, or the force is constant. Classically you may say that the force is a constant, because the force is just the derivative of this, and the potential is equal to the energy when x is equal to a. So this is the assumption that we make. Now in this assumption, given this assumption, what is k and what is the value of rho? So let us work out these, and let us work out this equation. So we have to now specialize ourselves to a particular case where we know the form of k, right? Because k so what is k now? We can easily write down what is k. So k as a function of x was defined to be square root of 2m by h cross square into e minus v for x, okay, and this is equal to square root of 2m by h cross square alpha into x minus a. So this is the form of the potential. So E minus V will be A minus X. And X is less than A. So this is the form of K which we have to use in the equation which we have worked out. For X greater than A, we have rho x equal to 2m by h cross square, and we have v minus e, so this is alpha x minus a. Okay, and this can be obtained by just setting k is equal to minus, by replacing k everywhere. So we can express this equation in terms of rho by just replacing k by minus I rho for x less than a. So for x more than a, we have to use this expression for k in this equation. For x less than a, we have to use this. For x more than a, we have to use rho in this equation, and we have to just put in rho here with the substitution that k goes to minus I rho. Okay. So now let us go ahead further. In order to use these in this equation, we have to calculate k prime and k double prime. So let us go ahead and do those calculations. So that is simplified if we first calculate y in terms of for this particular potential. So y is equal to kx prime kx prime dx, and we choose the origin of the integration at the classical turning point. So y actually now in this case represents the distance from the classical turning point. So a to x, where a is the classical turning point and x is some arbitrary. So this is equal to a to x, and we have square root of 2m by h cross square into alpha here, and we have square root of a minus x prime d x prime. So this integral can be easily evaluated. The integral of a minus x prime dx prime is equal to, so this whole thing, there is a constant outside, 2m alpha by h cross squared, and this integral gives us, so we have a minus x to the power of half, so this will give us 3 by 2, and we have 2/3 a minus x to the power of 3 by 2 with the limits a and x, and we have a minus sign because this is minus x prime over here. So there's a minus x prime here, so if you make a change of variables and do the integral, you will get an extra minus sign. So this turns out to be equal to, so in the limit when x is a, this whole thing disappears and we only have the value at x prime. So this is x prime actually, x prime here, when x prime is equal to x, and this whole thing becomes minus 2m alpha by h cross squared into 2/3 into a minus x to the power of 3 by 2, which we can write as some constant. We need not bother too much, right, about this constant, some constant into a minus x to the power of 3 by 2. So we can now directly express k in terms of y. We see that k has got a minus x to the power of half, and y has got a minus x to the power of 3 by 2. So if we want to express k in terms of y, then k is equal to some constant into y to the power of 1/3, because this thing, the 1/3 power of this will give us this. Okay, so we get k is equal to some constant. Okay, let us call this whatever, some constant. Let us call it some gamma into a minus x to the power of 1/3. Okay. So now we have to use this in the equation which we want to solve. So this is the equation we want to solve, and we are solving it for a particular potential which is just linear. So for a linear potential, this equation gets simplified, and that's what we are calculating. So we can now calculate k prime by k whole squared. So let us calculate k prime by k whole squared. K prime by k squared oh sorry this should be gamma y to the power of 1/3. Right, that was the whole simplification we were doing. So k is equal to gamma y to the power 1/3. We have k as a function of y, and we are now differentiating k with respect to y and then dividing it by k. So this is equal to, let me keep the, okay, so k will be some, there will be a gamma here and a gamma here which will exactly cancel out, so I don't have to bother about the gamma. I will have a 1 by k square in the denominator, so I will have y to the power of 2/3 in the denominator. And if I differentiate this, then I will get 1/3 and I will have y to the power minus 2/3 in the numerator. So how much does this give us? This gives us 1/9, and then we have, so I subtract 1 from this, so I get minus 2/3. So what I get on top, okay, so let us see what I get. I get y to the power of, so I have minus 4 by 3 in the denominator, so I have, okay, minus 4 by 3 minus 2 by 3, so this is equal to 1/9 y to the power of minus 2. So we have evaluated the first ingredient which we need. We also need k double prime by k. So k double prime by k will be equal to, so again the gamma can be done away with, and k in the denominator, so this is going to be y to the power of 1/3 in the denominator. If I differentiate this 2 times, so if I differentiate it the first time, I will get a 1/3. If I differentiate it again, I will get a minus 2/3, and then I have minus 2/3 minus 1, which is minus 5/3. So this is k double prime, which is which gives us 2 by minus 2 by 9 into y to the power of minus 2. Okay. So let us plug all of these in to our equation. So the equation which we are simplifying is this one: v double prime plus 1/4 k prime by k square minus half k double prime by k plus 1 v. So let me also, so what we need is 1/4 k prime by k squared minus half k double prime by k, and this is equal to, so I have 1/4 and here I have 1/9 and here I have 1 by y square. This is the first term, and I have minus half into minus 2/9 1 by y square, and this is equal to, so I have 1 by 36, and this gives me 4 by 36, because 2 cancels out. I have 1 by 9, which if I multiply and divide by 4, I get 4 by 36 into 1 by y square, which is 5 by 36 y square. Okay, so the whole equation which we wanted to simplify gets reduced to this. So this is the equation. Let me again show you the equation which we are dealing with. So this is the Schrodinger equation. Nothing has been done to it till now except a change of variables. We then restrict ourselves to a situation where the potential is linear. So if you make an assumption that the potential is linear, the potential is of this kind. Potential is a straight line. Under this assumption, the Schrodinger equation, this Schrodinger equation gets simplified, and what we have left is V double prime plus 1 plus 5 by 36 y square into V is equal to 0. So no approximation has gone in as yet. This is the exact Schrodinger equation, just written in a different set of variables, for a situation where the potential is linear. And we are approximating the potential as a linear potential around the classical turning point. So this is the exact Schrodinger equation for a situation where if this is the potential and this is x, then the potential looks something like this. Okay, actually it is 0 at x equal to a, so let me draw it again. This is x, this is v, this is the classical turning point. No, the potential is not 0, sorry. So the potential looks like this, and this is the value of the energy we are dealing with, and they are both equal at some point A. And what we are doing is, any arbitrary potential, we are assuming it can be expressed in this kind of a way, this kind of a form, around the classical turning point to some accuracy. So we have, if we can solve this equation exactly without any WKB approximation, then this will give us a solution which is valid near the classical turning point. So the solution of this equation, this is the Schrodinger equation for the linear potential. If we can solve this equation, then we have obtained a solution which is valid near the classical turning point. If we can somehow match this solution to the solution obtained in the WKB approximation away from the classical turning points, then we have some means of matching the solution obtained by the WKB approximation in this region to the solutions in this region, going through the classical turning point. Okay. So let us look at this equation for y large. For y large, so large values of y, this 1 by y square term can be dropped, and this again becomes this same exponential equation. So far away from the point A where y is large, so far away from the classical turning point, the solution of this equation goes over to the solutions which we get in the WKB approximation. So for large y, we know that the solutions of this equation are some constant a1 e to the power I y plus b1 e to the power minus I y. This equation is valid both on the left hand side as well as the right hand side. We did the algebra only for the left hand side, but if you do the algebra for the right hand side using rho, you will get exactly the same equation. And the solution, this is for x, this is for very large values of y to the left of A, and for very large values of y to the right of this point A, you will have mod y, so a2 plus b2 e to the power minus mod y. So asymptotically we know that the solutions of this equation are these. So what we have to do is we have to work out the solutions of this equation, see what is the asymptotic behavior of this, of the solutions of this full equation and use this. So once we know the full solution, we can look at the asymptotic behavior of that. So we can choose some combination of the solution which asymptotically gives us this in one regime and then see what it goes over to in the other regime. Okay, so this so if we can find out the exact solutions of this, study the asymptotic behavior of the solutions of this, then we can match these coefficients A and B and relate the solutions on the two sides. I will not do the mathematics today. We will do it because it is a bit involved, and we will do it in a later class which will be devoted just to this, how we get the relation between these solutions. Let me just make a few comments and then show you the solutions now, and then we can look at an application of this WKB approximation.
Sir,
yes?
can you justify the linear assumption at the classical turning?
Right. So if the linear assumption, there are situations where the linear assumption cannot be classified. See, any function you can always represent as some linear term plus some quadratic term as by doing a Taylor series, right? So over some neighborhood, the linear approximation is going to be valid. The question now arises that when there are situations where this kind of an method will not work. Okay, so let me also show you a situation where this kind of a method will not work. Suppose I have a potential where the classical turning point, so the potential looks say something like this and then it behaves like this. And the classical turning point is somewhere here. And this is the classical turning point we are concerned with. Now, how do we go about matching the solution on this side and this side? We know in the WKB approximation that the solution on this side is an exponential, the solution on that side is also an exponential. We approximate this potential by a straight line, and for the straight line also we know that sufficiently far away the wave function is a exponential here and exponential here. And we match and the solution for this straight line is also known in between. We use that to match the exponential here with the exponential on the other side. But in such a situation, what happens is that the potential, the turning point is very close to the place where the potential itself turns around. So you cannot approximate it by a straight line very far away from the classical turning point. You have to go sufficiently far so that the exact solution becomes an exponential. Here you cannot do that, because if you go some distance from the classical turning point, the potential is no longer described adequately by this straight line. So you no longer have a regime on the right hand side where you can match the two solutions. So in such a situation, you cannot apply this kind of a method. So you cannot basically apply the WKB approximation. So let me now show you the results which you obtain. If you did the mathematics, you worked out the exact solution of this equation and looked at the asymptotic behavior on this side and this side, and then looked at which function does this go over to when I go from here to here. Similarly, if you ask the question, which function does this go over to when I go from here to here, since I know the solution, I can look at the asymptotic behavior and relate this with some combination of this or vice versa, and this with some combination of this. So let me now show you the solutions. So for a situation where I have a classical turning point like this, where the potential is increasing from left to right, the WKB solution on the left hand side will be some oscillating exponential, which is equivalent to cos and sine. So if we take the if you match the two solutions on the two sides, what you find is that as you go through the classical turning point, the solution cos integral x to a k prime x dx prime, where k prime has to be calculated from the potential, this solution on the left hand side goes over to this exponential minus a to x rho x prime dx prime on the right hand side. Similarly, sine in this region, if I go through this classical turning point where none of these solutions are valid, this will emerge as this solution on the right hand side. Okay, so we know how this solution, so we know that which function this solution on the left hand side, which function this goes over to in this region. And this has been obtained by approximating the potential here by a linear straight line and working out the function, the wave function for that, and looking at the asymptotic behavior and then matching those. Okay. Similarly, if I have a potential which decreases as I go from left to right, then, and if you match the functions on the left hand side and the right hand side, the oscillating WKB approximation is valid on the right hand side. The exponentially decaying and growing WKB solutions are valid on the left hand side. And if I match these two using a linear potential in between, what we get is that this exponential minus x to b rho x prime dx prime, this goes over to cos, and exponential plus x to b rho x prime dx prime goes over to sine. So these are the results from using a linear potential around the classical turning points, and then looking at the asymptotic behavior of that and comparing that with the WKB solutions on the two sides. So let me consider one very interesting application of this. Let us work out let us allowed the energies for bound states in some arbitrary potential. So this is some arbitrary potential and we want to see if you can have a solution with energy E. So for a value of energy E, there will be two classical turning points. Let us call them B and let us call this A. Let us call this region 1, region 2 and region 3, our old notation. So this is analogous to the problem which we have already solved, where we had a step potential drop and a step potential increase. Now the potential keeps on varying. So let us look at which are the allowed solutions on the left hand side. So the left hand side classical turning point, the point B over here, to the left of this, the wave function must die away exponentially. Which of these two is the one which dies away exponentially? So so if you look at the integral over here, suppose rho were constant, then this integral would be minus b into rho plus x into rho. As x goes to minus infinity, this would be going to 0. On the contrary, this one would go to infinity as x went to minus infinity. So the one which falls off as x goes to minus infinity is this one. So the left hand side, the solution is given by this. which tells us that the WKB solution inside here must be this. There is no way we can tell what this should correspond to here, and we had to approximate it by a linear potential and found out, and that tells us that if we continue this through the classical turning point, it goes over to this WKB solution in the potential well. So the WKB solution inside the potential well is this. So the WKB solution in region 2, the WKB solution, which will not be valid near the turning points, but it will be valid in the regions away from the turning point, somewhere over here in this region. In this region, the solution is B to X K x prime dx prime minus 1/4 pi, the cos of this whole thing, divided by square root of k. Which we can write as equal to 1 by square root of k cos integral b to a k x prime dx prime minus so we are integrating from b to a, we have to subtract out the part from x to a. So this is minus x to a k x prime dx prime minus 1/4 pi, which we can expand now. So this we can write as 1 by square root of k, and we have, let me do this on a separate sheet of paper. So we have, this is equal to 1 by square root of k, and we have two terms. The first term is going to be cos. So we are going to have cos of this into sine of this plus sine of this into cos of this. So let me write down the two terms. So the first term is going to be, I am going to have a cos of integral a to b k x prime dx prime, and then I am going to have sine of integral, there is a minus sign, so I am going to have x to a, I can put the minus sign outside, and I have k x prime dx prime minus 1/4 pi. This is the first term, and the second term is plus, then I have sine a to b k x prime dx prime, and then I have cos x to a k x prime dx prime minus 1/4 pi. Okay. So what have we done? The solution which decays exponentially on the left hand side is this solution. The WKB solution which decays exponentially on the left hand side gives us this WKB solution in the potential well, which I can expand and write in this form, which I can write like this. It will just take me. So now let us look at the right hand side. On the right hand side, which of these decays on the right hand side and which of them blows up exponentially? So in the middle of the well, so let us look at this. On the right hand side, which of these two functions blows up and which of these two functions behaves reasonably? So on the right hand side, as x goes to infinity, if this, let us just look at this, if this were a constant, then I would have minus x rho plus a rho. So this obviously is going to behave properly. It is going to decay on the right hand side. This is going to blow up on the right hand side. So the coefficient of the term, so let us now look at this. So the WKB solution inside should not have this part, it should only have this part. It should not have the cos part, it should have only the sine part. It should have only the cos part and not the sine part, because the cos part inside, when I extend it to the right of the classical turning point, is going to blow up exponentially. Sorry, the sine part is going to blow up exponentially, the cos part is going to decay. So this should not be there in the potential well, this part of the solution, which is a constant. This goes to 0. So the condition it imposes is that a to b kx prime dx prime, this should be n plus half into pi. N plus half into pi, where n could be any integer. Okay, so this is the condition which has to be satisfied if the energy E is an allowed bound state of this particular potential well. So we shall discuss the consequences of this in the next class.